welcome everyone. We will kick off in a couple of minutes. Also, join the space if you have any questions or anything. Feel free to yell out. As always, sending Alex an invite.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
How is the weather there? Is it hot?
Oh God, I just turned on the AC because it's I don't know. I really hate turning the AC on, but considering it's like 40 degrees, I tend to
No, you
too
have to.
hot for
You
me.
have to. It's impossible to survive these temperatures.
Yeah, like it stays kind of cool if I turn it on, and I think I have it on too cold because I turn it on and then I'm like shivering and stuff. I can't quite get the right temperature.
Oh man. You'll get used to it.
How is it over there?
Humid?
Yeah.
Yeah, annoying, but we survive.
Yeah, exactly. No
So,
problem.
welcome everyone to our weekly days. And today, as usual, we have quite a few stories that happened this week, and also some updates about Beam. So, what shall we start with? stETH?
Yeah, this is an interesting situation.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of amazing to me how like everything is so connected now in the ecosystem. Like things that it's actually like it's a real economy. It's like you cannot any longer view like one protocol without like looking at the other, and everything has become very complicated. So let's start with the quick recap of what is going on. And we actually have like four stories that are all connected to one another, as I said. So let's start with the stETH. So the stETH is a very interesting thing. So as you know, Ethereum is going to move to proof of stake sometime in the future. And in order to become on this new Ethereum 2.0, you need to stake 32 ETH, which is still quite a lot of money. And in return, you will get something like 4.4%. So there is like kind of, I think, once this thing is live, it will be rather opportunity. So a lot of people did that even before the actual 2.0 chain is live on the so-called beacon chain, right? Obviously, I didn't because I don't have 32 ETH, but a lot of people did. And also, there was a very interesting protocol created, which is called Lido or Lido. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that.
Also don't know. Yeah.
Let's call it Lido for the purpose of this discussion. And the idea is that even if you don't have the entire amount, you can just take the Ethereum that you do have and put it into this protocol. And they, as a protocol, they have a DAO, and the DAO kind of chooses Ethereum validators and vets them. And then your ETH will become staked to those validators when the chain is live, and you will basically make those profits even if you don't have the entire amount. Also, being Ethereum 2 validator requires maintaining a node, being online all the time, and you get penalties if you don't upgrade at appropriate times or if you're not online. So it's kind of difficult to do for an average person to run Ethereum proof of stake node. So this protocol kind of takes away all of your trouble, and in return you get 4% yield. And the rest is going to both the to the DAO and to the actual validators that get your stake. Now, it's important to understand that the amount of money we're talking about is huge. Like there was about $8 billion, I think, total staked into this beacon chain. And out of this sum, about 1/3 was done through this Lido protocol. So like it's quite a lot of money. And in return for your staked ETH, you get this token, which is called stETH for staked ETH. Now, this is where it gets interesting because obviously the price of the stETH cannot go above one ETH because like at any given time you can bring your Ethereum and get your stETH in return. So if for some reason this price of the stETH would be higher, like arbitrageurs would quickly use this opportunity. However, it can go lower as we learned. Now, when there is a bull market and everything is good and the future is bright, it didn't happen, or like almost didn't happen, because basically what you have is a token which is equal to one Ethereum, but it's not liquid, right? So you cannot actually use it as Ethereum right now. You will be able to use it, even not, I think, at the date of the launch of the new chain, but rather probably sometime like after, right? So like there is a future promise of this one Ethereum waiting for you. Now, this brings us to the second part of the story, the demand for Ethereum. Because right now there is, as we know, there is a bear market, there's a lot of kind of liquidations going on, and a lot of protocols need liquid funds right now. And one of such protocols is Celsius, which suffered from quite a series of unfortunate events. There were some hacks, there was this Luna USD collapse, and they have borrowed heavily, and now they need to be able to repay those debts. And some of the amount of like funds that they're holding was in staked ETH. So now they have begun selling ETH quite heavily on several pools, and the liquidity is scarce right now, and it's like kind of relatively low amount. So what happened as a result is that the price of staked ETH suddenly kind of went down.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly like where it is at this moment. It's definitely under one ETH, and this is what was like in Twitter and in some articles as depegging of stETH. And then there were like kind of articles saying, no, it's not depegging because it was never actually pegged to one ETH. It's a completely different token. And this whole kind of, was it depegging or was it not depegging, was kind of a discussion last couple of days. So the thing is that I have kind of reviewed some of the earlier materials about this. And even though technically it's not pegged, because like pegged means that you have some mechanism in place that should support the price and maintain it like in a stable coin scenario, for example, tied to, let's say, $1 or whatever the currency is. In this case, it is actually a different token. It is not pegged. However, in most videos and some previous articles, they repeatedly, like the authors of those articles repeatedly called it pegged. And even I saw a video from as early as like 2 weeks ago that said, stETH is pegged to ETH like through 3 different mechanisms. The first is this one, the second this one. So it was called pegged along the way, even though it wasn't actually, a pegging mechanism. And then, yeah, when this price of stETH suddenly went down, like obviously
no longer calling it pegged.
yeah. This kind of conceptual fallacy quickly revealed itself and untangled, and it's totally fine because just like in regular finance, we all know that the current price of something and the future price of something, even though it's the same something, can be different, right? It depends on the expectation of where this is going.
Exactly. And so like, at least from what I've seen, like in the past from stETH, it was like relatively stable around like 1 Ethereum for 1 stake. And now, which I always find kind of surprising, because I mean, essentially one's locked and you can't like get it unlocked until after the merge or whatever. And so I was always a bit surprised that it didn't always trade at like at least a small discount.
So yeah, but it makes sense when there is kind of a positive sentiment on the market. It makes sense because let's say you have some amount of money and you put it away for some, let's say, savings account, right, with some like kind of larger or a little bit larger percentage that you're getting from your bank, and you don't need the money right now, so it's fine, right? So you're making a little bit on top of it, and it's okay. But if things turn bad and you do need this money and you need it quickly, the penalties that you're getting for breaking your savings account or savings program can be even higher than the accumulated percentage. So this is a little bit kind of very simple, dumbed down explanation of about what's happening. Like, it's okay to have staked ETH when you don't need ETH, but when you do need ETH all of a sudden, then you're saying, listen, take this staked ETH at the discount because I need the money right now, otherwise I will go bankrupt, or whatever is happening right now with Celsius doesn't look good.
Yeah, this is looking a bit weird, right?
Yeah, so as I said, all of these mechanisms, when the price goes down, there is this kind of cascading liquidation threat, and this is where it kind of balances itself, right? So, like, if the price of Ethereum goes under some threshold, then the amount of liquidations gets higher, and this is kind of causing this effect, this domino effect of more and more kind of money getting tied into those liquidations. Yeah. So this is
and this is where it gets really interesting with like this stETH or staked ETH, is that it got like it's not Ethereum, but in like terms of Ethereum DeFi, many protocols started adding stETH for like lending markets and this kind of thing.
Absolutely, because you tend to treat something as Ethereum in terms of the price, even though it's not exactly Ethereum. And yeah, it will be convertible into Ethereum once this chain is live. But first of all, and I think this is kind of a very common kind of problem with many software projects that get delayed, and we are no exception at Beam. Things take longer than they are initially anticipated. We're all optimists as developers. We want everything to be done quickly, and we're very optimistic about it. But things take, and in this case, because there is kind of this monetary expectation of this time, so a lot of people who staked this ETH, I don't know, a year ago, probably expected this Ethereum 2.0 thing to be already happening, or kind of at least be on the horizon, but it's not.
Yeah.
And since there is no specific timeline that you can say, oh, these stETH will be worth exactly 1 ETH in X days, months, weeks, whatever, it's more difficult to hold onto this value or like value it exactly as 1 ETH when there is such demand for liquidations. And so, yeah, it's together in this a little bit of a vicious cycle. We're all watching what is happening, but right now it's kind of difficult to predict exactly where it will stop.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I saw many posts on Twitter and this kind of stuff talking about it with relation to like the Lunar and Terra, whatever they're called, situation, which I think it's quite like it's similar in some sense to that in the terms of like people getting liquidated and this kind of stuff, but I think it's very different conceptually, like how the two work, obviously.
Yes, one of the things that we saw, and by the way, I just want to remind everyone that whenever you want to add something or ask a question, you're welcome. Like we're talking anytime, just hit that request button. One of the things that happened in this kind of Luna meltdown is that a lot of kind of different protocols behaved differently. So like it's not like you let go of this massive stablecoin going down all of a sudden, right? So a lot of protocols borrowed against it, like they used it as collateral, used a lot of kind of combinations. And it complicated them because they didn't say like, oh, it's going down, let's dump it or let's forget about it. You can't really do that, right? This was tied in quite a lot of pools and Luna as well. And this is in it of itself kind of a cascade that we now see the ripples of like in this period, right? So it's obviously part. Yeah, that's for sure. Not to mention the fact that every 2 days it seems like Doc One is getting accused of something new and improved. I saw amounts varying from $2.7 billion that he took to, I don't know, $80 million that he took. Like every 2 days, there is a different kind of accusation.
Yeah, and I saw his like defense was that like he doesn't need money, and it's like, well, I mean, if you cash out money, you don't need money. Yeah, it makes sense.
It's really very difficult to be in this situation for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, but people are very frustrated, and like the entire market is not actually giving. I think it was CryptoDog who tweeted, I think today that like something like I like retweeting good news. Do you have any?
yeah. In a beer market, there's no good news. Even if it's good, it's no good.
Yeah, I bought the dip, but it kept dipping.
Yeah. I mean, like, I won't talk too much about price, but the market has been very like unforgiving in the past like month or couple of months.
Yep. Combined with other kind of macroeconomic factors, I don't know, all of these interest rates and things that I don't really understand. But yeah, it kind of influences everything.
Yeah, this is one thing I see many people on like online talking about like, oh, thankfully I have like what I don't even know what it's called, the like mortgage thing where it's a fixed rate mortgage. Uh,
Hmm.
like that stuff's very, very foreign to me. I have no idea about like macroeconomics or interest rates or kind of stuff.
Totally.
But luckily, the entire like crypto Twitter community has become like professional experts in the macro space, as they
Oh yeah,
as they like to
yeah.
do.
I love those tweets. Like percent of experts expect Bitcoin to go to like $100,000 till the end of the year.
Yeah, me
Like
too.
first of all, it means like 58% don't expect that. Like speaking of,
Yeah,
but who are those experts exactly, and where will they be later?
yeah,
Yeah. Um, okay, so moving on to kind of more positive, I would say, and interesting news. While we're here developing Web3, some people has already moved forward and are developing Web5. Did you hear about
yeah,
that?
yeah. Not even Web 4.
No,
Skipped
no,
Web
no.
4.
Web 4 is for losers. Like Web
Yeah,
5, that's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So what we're talking about is this actually very strange tweet from Jack Dorsey, who is the founder of Twitter. And he tweeted something about developing Web5 with a link to some other account, which had a link to a Google Doc, like the slide deck. And I will retweet that later. I will find it and tweet it. And there was this kind of presentation um, about an idea to create a decentralized web platform,
Yeah.
um, which they call Web5 because it's like Web2 plus Web3 or something like that.
Okay.
Um, Nothing really special, kind of like, or let's say most of the ideas are kind of a combination of things that we already saw, in many Web3 projects. But let's talk about it because it's interesting. I believe that it will become kind of like maybe not called, but some of those concepts will definitely become a thing. Um, so right now, what's going on with this Web2 model, as it is being described, is that when you go to a website, whether it's a social network or like a blog or whatever, and you log in, your credentials actually belong to the provider of this website. So when you go to, let's say, Twitter or Facebook and you create a new account, Facebook is the owner of that account, right? And this makes these kind of many different identities that you have, each belonging to a different network or a different website, different application.
Mm.
And all the data and all of the interactions and the social graph and all of these kind of things that you do on this platform, they all are managed and they all belong to and they're all protected by, to a certain degree, by those providers of these applications. And this is kind of the Web 2 model. Now, the Web 3, 5, whatever model is all of that in reverse, right? So yeah, the platform does provide all of the services that it provides, but you are the owner of your identity. You are the owner of your keys, of your funds, and ultimately you are also the owner of your kind of server in a way, right? So you own your data, you use it in a different model, right? So it's not like somebody is providing all of these capabilities for you, but rather you delegate these resources that you want to this provider, and there is some kind of financial model behind it. So the example that is given in this presentation is the playlist, right? There is no, like, it doesn't make sense to have a playlist on Spotify and playlist on Tidal and playlist on something else, Apple Music or whatever. You would like to have your own single playlist, and then you can delegate this playlist and ask this kind of provider of the service to stream music based on your playlist, right? So this is kind of the idea.
Okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah, and all of that is protected by cryptography. The things that we kind of use a lot in the crypto space, like in their kind of model, you have this, they call it addressable data, right? So you store the data and you have this kind of unique identifier that says, this is my data, you can take it from here. And whenever there is a service that needs that data, it kind of requests your permission to use it. And you say, yeah, you can use this data for now and do whatever you are doing, whether it's music or, communication or whatever that is. So this is kind of the concept behind Web 5 decentralized web platform. Once again, I didn't find anything kind of unique here. And I think that the entire kind of difficulty of this is like it's too much to change from the cloud. So it will happen, right? We see this happening, but it will take a lot of time because this entire kind of cloud infrastructure, the way it works today, from the architectural point of view, is working like Web 2 way all over, right? And it will take time to kind of convert it on to make it usable enough for average consumers to use it in this kind of opposite direction. Because recently we spoke with this company that is developing your kind of hosted, like services that are hosted by you. You buy kind of this server and you put it in your house, and then you run your own applications on it, and you become your own provider of some of these services. And even though they're working hard to make it usable, it's still kind of a very niche and very geeky product, right? It will take a lot of time. Like most people don't even know how to access their router that they have installed from their phone company or whatever.
Yeah, this I can relate to. Yeah.
It was funny. I got this like kind of upgraded internet router from my phone company, and I wanted to change some setting, and I kind of tried to access it, and you can't. You can't access the settings on your router. And like, what am I supposed to do? Oh, you need to call us. We will configure your router. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Couldn't possibly set your own settings on your own router.
No. And they say like, oh yeah, but we protect you from viruses. I'm like, thank you very much. Like, what would I have done without you? Yeah, but the model is possible, and it's funny because it's so kind of going back to the roots. Like I don't know if you remember when there was like no internet, you just had your computer, and everything you wanted to move from to another was on like these floppy disks. Long time ago in a galaxy far away. But this is kind of that level of autonomy. But now that we do have all of these services that are interconnected, we just want to use them a different way. We just want to use them as the services and not as the holders and owners of our data.
Yeah.
There was this kind of interesting, when was it? I think it was about Facebook or something. I don't remember the exact story, but like, I think that was it Facebook? I don't remember, but in the terms, like all of these, terms and agreements that you click on when you sign up.
Yeah.
like it actually says that it's not really your data. Like they can do a lot with.
Yeah, like this is what I always wondered, and I have no idea, but about platforms like Twitter. Like, if I upload my own like thing onto Twitter, does it then become Twitter's, or can they use it how they want, or this kind of stuff? I have no idea,
Well,
but
not exactly. So you don't lose the copyright, but
okay.
you do give a lot of give a lot of consent. For example, manipulating this data and resending it to third parties. For example, if tomorrow, let's say, I don't want to, name like names, but some of these companies partners with, let's say, some, pharma company, right? And the pharma company wants to understand like who needs more Viagra or whatever. I don't know, like one of these things. So it is
Yeah.
very possible that your data, anonymized or not, will be mined for this information. They will run all of these AI algorithms and try to understand like, are you, okay sexually? Are you performing? Is everything good? Because otherwise, we will market this shit to you like, or whatever. Like it can be flu, it can be anything.
Yeah, and next thing it's coming up on like the intro to video YouTube, and as you're scrolling Twitter trying to find what's going on. Yeah, and I always find this like targeted advertising very, very unusual. Like there was, I have no idea why, but like 2 years ago or something, or 3 years ago, I kept getting these advertisements for like life insurance, and like I don't know, I can't even remember what it was called, but it was like the thing when you die, like you should organize like the thing for when you're dying. And I got these like all of the time on Twitter, and it was very like strange. I mean, I'm maybe not the most like positive person, but I couldn't figure out like where that was all coming from.
There was this funny video many years ago, like somebody is calling to order a pizza, and
Yeah.
the clerk is like, which toppings would you like? And he's like, I would like extra cheese. And the clerk was like, I don't know about that. You have quite a high cholesterol.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's kind of this level. So yeah, I totally agree that like it's a good idea to at least move some of the functionality like regarding your personal data to your own wallet or your own protection.
Yeah.
However, I do believe it needs to be like it doesn't need to be like this. Like for example, like if I lose access to my, I don't know, Twitter account tomorrow, yeah, it will be like, okay, I don't make money from Twitter, right? So it's not a business that I run. I just have this account. It would be, a bummer, but I would survive. Like nothing happens. I mean, like if it's my personal account, especially. I can create a new one. Like I can do something like that. Of course, if it's a business, then I need to protect these logins and do a two-factor like you would treat any other information. Then the reason I say that is because there was this talk about soul-bound tokens.
I keep seeing this like soulbound token thing, and I see
It
people
was
talking about it, but I don't know what it is
Yeah,
actually.
it was one of the ideas that came from Vitalik recently.
Okay.
Um, and the idea is that you have something that is unique to you. Like, let's say you have some certification, you went to the university, like you have things that you don't, uh, like you can't sell. So it's a token you cannot sell. Okay?
Okay. So it's like a non-transferable token kind of
Exactly.
thing.
But non-transferable doesn't sound cool. Soulbound sounds
Yeah.
really cool, right?
Yeah, actually, it does. Like non-transferable doesn't sound cool at all, but is a pretty cool name.
And when I heard this term, I had that feeling. I had this kind of really weird, negative emotion, and I tried to understand like why is that? And the thing is that you this like a kind of biometric certification. Do you have that in
I've done
England
it.
or in?
I've done it a few times for like visa stuff.
No, no, no. I'm talking about
Oh,
your ID, like your passport, is actually biometrically tied to. It's
I
not
don't
like you're
know.
leaving those fingerprints or a scan of your face, like when you get a visa to some country. I'm talking about like your country ID. Like in Israel, we have two IDs. We have this internal one, and then we have the passport for traveling outside of Israel. And recently, they have added this kind of. It was several years ago. They started moving towards biometric identification, and soon it will become mandatory. And
Okay.
it's crazy annoying because the problem with that is like if for some reason this data is not protected properly, I really do not trust like the government of like any government to protect it.
Yeah.
It's that's it, right? So if it's biometric, you cannot change your whatever they're using to identify you.
Yeah, exactly. I think I don't think my passport has this, but New Zealand, I have a New Zealand passport, and New Zealand is like we're always behind on like technology stuff.
That's good. In this specific
Yeah,
case, it's very fortunate.
yeah,
So just like I really hated this idea of biometric identification, I also like didn't like this soul-bound thing because anything can happen. You can get hacked, you can get like whatever. And now, so one of the important things is not just like what you can have, but also how it can be used in court. Okay, so for example,
yeah,
a lot of things that I don't know. Let's say fingerprints. Fingerprints are not good enough evidence to convict you. They can be used in the case, but it's not like, unlike DNA, let's say, it's like not as convincing, right? Because it can be tampered with, it can be forged, there can be problems. And this feature is called non-repudiation. Like, how can you say it wasn't me, right?
yeah,
So when it's going to this kind of soul-bound things or like biometric things, and in my mind, they kind of became related, it gets much more difficult for you. Like if something happens and something, gets stolen or hacked, to say, oh, it wasn't me, because, wait a minute, this is your soul-bound token that we see here in this, Nazi website or whatever.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah. So on the opposite side, coming from the same Vitalik Buterin, a much more interesting article, in my opinion, from today, I think, or yesterday, about various non-financial uses of blockchains.
hmm
And he has like he outlines, I think, like 4 or 5 kind of different use cases. And one of the most interesting for me was the repeat, because this is the concept that I like. Like you are what you are doing, your behavior, like not behavior, like your contributions, I would say, right? So this is something that you can say, okay, that's me, right? I wrote this article, I wrote this code, I liked that, I did this, I voted, whatever I'm doing. And my reputation is kind of combined from these um, things that I do, but not in the sense of like, oh, wait a minute, like, we will monitor what you're doing and then we will calculate your reputation. No, it's like you are showing like what you want people to see by using these like different identities. Sometimes you don't know, you can contribute to some project and then this project will become a scam, like which is outside of your control. And you're like, oh, I didn't know, right? But you're always things like that. This is something that I can connect to, and
yeah.
instead of soul-bound things.
Speaking of that, what you mentioned about getting involved in a project and then like the turns out it's a scam or whatever. There's an interesting situation that I heard on in Telegram, one of the chats or something. I, I forget the guy's name. Something like it's a funny name. Something like CIA person or whatever. Anyway, he like someone in a public chat on Telegram asked for like Dust to send a transaction on like Phantom Network or something like this. And he said, yeah, sure, send them one Phantom. And then, I can't remember the exact story. I'm going to make a mistake. But then the person that got the one Phantom went and used it to like hack a protocol. And so after they hacked the protocol, people looked at the address and like who the hacker was and this kind of stuff, and then they saw like the one Phantom coming from the person CIA operative or whatever their name was who has their like public ENS name on their like account. And this really concerns me because I've done this myself in a few public chats, like sent some funds to people I know, or someone's asked for like some dust to send a transaction when they've just bridged funds, and they don't really want to like go through the process of withdrawing from an exchange or whatever to just get a little bit of to make the first transaction. But I never really thought about like the person using your money to then go and do something nefarious and make it look like it was you.
This is actually really interesting, and I would really like if you found the story and added it to the comments to this space, because it's actually a brilliant idea to there is what's it called, chaff, I think, that the airplane like shoots these kind of fake targets when there is a rocket trying to lock on it.
Like flares.
Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly kind of using the dust attack in reverse, right? So what you're saying is like, okay, you're probably going to try to trace where this attack came from and who also contributed to this attack. So let me collect as many kind of dust, like fake participants as possible. So it would be more difficult for you to try to, find the real kind of people behind it.
Yeah, and this is like something that gets brought up a lot about like when there's a hack and there's all of these people going, oh look, they withdrew from Qcoin and they withdrew from Gate.io and Binance and Coinbase and this kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, what a like stupid hacker. But maybe this is like the same kind of tactic that they're using there, signing up to accounts with KYC and this kind of stuff that's not theirs to make it more difficult for people to try and find them.
When we just launched Beam and we only had like online transactions, and we had this kind of, you had to be online, right? You had to be kind of actively accepting this transaction. Today, it's not true because we also have like the offline transactions, and like a lot of people have like online wallets and stuff like that, mobile wallets. But it was kind of this thought, like, what happens if somebody like sends you some money, right? And you don't even like know about it. Like in Ethereum today, you can send funds to anyone just by their, Ethereum name. You can just find the top whatever influencers, whoever you want, and this can be like stolen funds, right? So you kind of make like if they don't return those funds immediately and prove that they return those funds, you kind of make them recipients of stolen property in a way, right?
Yeah, 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 and it's very yeah. I mean, if and this has been done a little bit with like people with public DNS ENS names and like a big following. People will send them like tokens to their address to make it look like they've bought them,
Yeah.
and really they haven't.
But by the way, just this week, I think it was Optimism protocol that had this issue. They sent funds to a wrong address.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
yeah.
and they sent funds to the address of a non-existent contract, and then somebody kind of created a contract for this address, and they got these funds, and it was like $20 million.
Yeah,
And then the funds were returned, but this person, he kept 1 million to himself, and he sent 1 million to Vitalik, I think.
yeah. He like sold 1 million almost like straight away after like I don't want to say stealing, but like tactically
Coming upon some unexpected
yeah,
funds.
yeah, tactically finding some money, and he sold 1 million, and maybe I don't know. There's I think a lot of the times with these things, it's people playing around and having a look, and then they find something, and then they take the funds, and then it's like now what? Like there's they're not trying to go out of their way to be nefarious necessarily, but maybe when they get such a, I mean, it was like $20 million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it was kind of funny.
By the way, a lot of there were several hacks this week. I don't want even to go into all of that, and many of them were like audited contracts. Yeah, we're really far from any kind of quality in this realm.
Yeah.
Um, but things will get better, but um, there should be, I think, like kind of this universal kind of bounty. You know, instead of each project establishing his own kind of critical bug bounty. They like should all come together and establish this kind of big pot of bounty money, so that
Yeah.
it would be just more profitable and better for your reputation just to reveal your findings instead of trying to get these funds and then not to know what to do with them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like how it's happening often, like at the moment, it's like after it's been hacked, many of the protocols or projects will be like, hey, we will give you a bounty. And it's like, you you shouldn't be like saying that after they've taken the funds. It should be like clear from the beginning and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Like it's difficult to kind of think about all of these things, and it's also very difficult sometimes to um, properly assess the risk of the find, right? So sometimes like
Mm.
you find something that looks minor until it's exploited. And
Yeah.
then uh, there was this completely, I think, um, in the recent launch attempt from Aztec, which is the ZK rollup project, zk.money. Kind of ZK rollups are getting more attention recently, and they also had some like minor fix that they did like at the last moment, and then it kind of backfired. So yeah, these things happen.
Yeah.
No, it's an interesting idea. Maybe we should make some tweet about it because it doesn't make any sense, to have like each protocol like exactly establish like this own can do some kind of service for that.
And like you said about earlier in the call, everything so like intertwined and interconnected that it kind of does make sense for it to be more like a public good for everyone rather than like
Absolutely.
every protocol for himself or herself or whatever.
Yeah, every man for himself,
Mm.
every coin for himself.
Yeah, which it's looking very much this way. Like as the bear market progresses, it's getting even more like a, a lot of talk about like PvP in the crypto markets, and now it's becoming like not player versus player, but protocol versus protocol. And lots of funny
Yeah.
stuff going on.
Come come to think of it, if like Luna USD was happening in like the real world, it would be probably built by some,
Yeah,
central bank or something, because it
yeah.
was considered too big to fail and like, yeah.
This is one thing I found that like and Do Kwon, like whatever, he was kind of confident or voiced that Luna was too big to fail, and then it failed, and everything kind of outside of like UST ecosystem, everything pretty much functioned like as it should.
Yeah.
So not
It,
too big to fail.
it's interesting. By the way, I found the tweet about from the CIA officer.
Yeah.
So I will tweet it right now. And then I will also add beware. Here we go. By the way, the CIA officer, it's a great account. I really recommend it. He talks a lot about security and OPSEC and a lot of things that are really important.
Yeah, and he's very like good at if I've seen many people like ask about resources and crypto on very different stuff and they're always like onto it with great like resources for further reading and guides and this kind of stuff.
Yep, amazing account. Cool. Let's talk about Beam a little.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, what to expect in the coming? So we finally kind of almost finished. I think finished testing the DAppNet. DAppNet is our new testnet environment, which we will use to roll out the earliest possible versions of all our decentralized applications to play with. It's not a mainnet in any way, it's a testing network, but what is special about it is that it does not require mining, so the blocks by fake proof of work kind of replacement in a steady rate of about like 1 block per 15 seconds, just to make the experience of playing with applications kind of smoother. And we hope to have it up tomorrow on the website, so you will be able to download this wallet and connect to this network. And then we will roll out the voting that is kind of almost finished and will come onto mainnet soon, and also the gallery V2 to play with. So
Nice.
this is what is going to happen, this week. We're getting closer to the Hardfork height, which is scheduled, I think, to June 24th, I think, something like that. We're currently working with miners and exchanges to upgrade the nodes and the wallets.
Absolutely.
So it should be fine.
If you haven't already updated your wallet, you should do so immediately after the space.
Definitely, yeah. And we will also tweet the link. So everything is moving forward. Actually, yeah, all is good in Beam world.
Absolutely. So the desktop wallets are out. Is there any time frame for the mobile releases, the Android and iOS?
Yes, I think the Android is already up. I'm not sure. I think this week both of the wallets will be there. We already released the testnet, and we're now waiting for the approvals on the mainnet. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
And also the web wallet is also updated. I will check if it was released already, but it's definitely near completion. There is like one funny story, not so funny, but a story about the web wallet. Google changed the entire architecture of how browser extensions work with WebAssembly. So in our web wallet, we have this WebAssembly component that we load and which actually handles all of the communication with the node and the IPFS. And it used to work like this kind of background thing. And suddenly we found out, like when we tried to create a new, like a different version, that this entire mechanism was changed. And now we have to rewrite it. So luckily, we have until the end of the year to maintain the old architecture. But by then, we have to kind of get back to the drawing board and restructure this entire extension so it will work with the new Web3, not Web3, I'm sorry, 3.0 manifest. And when you look at the threads, in the Google support, it's like panic, like why everything stopped working? What happened? Nothing is loading. What just happened? Yeah, but you cannot upload new extensions anymore. So if you have a new extension that uses the old architecture, you cannot upload it. You can just upgrade the already existing ones.
I see.
Yeah, this is kind of difficult situations that you sometimes. Well, Google is always like it's always this kind of behemoth that when it changes something, suddenly some API that your entire product is based upon this gets canceled. It happens a lot.
Yeah. I can only imagine the annoyance.
Oh man, yeah. It's like out of your control, You're like, what?
Yeah.
But we'll manage. It's fine. It's just a nuisance. Luckily, we have great developers, and they will swear a few days.
True.
Profoundly, but then it'll be fine. Okay, what else we have on our agenda? I think we covered most of it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. If let's open up to any questions if there are any. Throw your hand in the air or request to speak. Do not be shy.
And if no, I will go and finally have my dinner. It was like kind of it. Yeah, we're doing this. I don't know it. It's called like there is like the meat and the rice in a pot with some vegetables. Like so, it's kind of slowly cooking long dish.
Okay, yeah. Kind of like a casserole.
Yeah, something like that. It's
Okay.
popular in I don't know where I'm originally from, like this kind of southern of whatever. Anyway, it's very tasty. It's very tasty because it has a lot of kind of meat and rice and everything is kind of together. But it takes quite a while to cook. So yeah, it will be finally ready when we're finished here.
You'll be looking forward to it. I was halfway through my dinner when I realized I'm not going to be able to finish it. So I will also be completing the second of my dinner.
Oh, you see, it's good.
Yeah. One thing before we do wrap it up, also, one thing I wanted to say, and I believe they are here. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Niran. And he has gone to the effort. I'll share the link on the Twitter, but he has gone to the effort to upload all of the Beam Spaces, various streaming sites. And so, if you miss an episode or you want to listen to our beautiful voices again, you can do so at your leisure. So, that's a very big thank you to Nero.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we will share all those links that we talked about. Upgrade your Beam wallets if you haven't already. Thank you very, very much for being here. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah, see you next Sunday.
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.